Hey, it's Webs here, and it's time to cover another Hearthstone deck. This time we're covering a deck that actually got a recent buff, Naga Priest, in the form of Serpent Wig. The main reason I really wanted to do this, however, was because Lyra the Sunshard has rotated back in, and this is probably the best home you could probably have currently. The basic idea behind the deck is to put down a minion and scale it as quickly as humanly possible when it comes to its HP pool, so we can actually finish off our opponent with one big swing of a blessed buffed minion, as seen in the clip behind me right now, where we're doing 14 worth of damage with one swing of a minion. It's a cool new interesting way to actually use bless in a deck that actually makes it a lot more relevant than it was before, because Serpent Wig enables this deck so well with the recent buff. There is one suggestion that I might have for any person actually wanting to play this deck. Brand Bronzebeard is really a win more card in this deck. You could easily replace him with a Shard of the Naru just so you can get rid of some of your opponent's taunts, and that might be honestly a better solution, but I really like the idea of having Bronzebeard in here for cards like the Queen's Guard or some of the other Battlecry minions that we do actually have in the deck. For the Mulligan guide of the deck, you're looking for early game minions to actually keep in your open hand along with Serpent's Wig. The main minions that you're looking for are stuff like Vicious Slither Sphere, Queen's Guard, or Radiant Elemental. Handmaiden is also really good if you have a bunch of cheap spells in your opening hand, as this will allow you to draw into cards pretty quickly, and Crush Claw Enforcer is also really good if you have some type of early game spell that you don't have to target an additional minion to actually trigger this ability on. Spell wise, I would keep cards like Illuminate, Serpent Wig, Shadow Word, Devour, or Thrive in the Shadows in my open hand, as these will all serve as really good early game buffs that you're actually looking to try to get online as quickly as possible. Bless is also alright depending on what other cards you have in your opening hand. With the Mulligan guide out of the way, let's look at some games. Okay, so time for a game against Warrior. Could be Questline Warrior or Control Warrior. We're going to Mulligan away the Priestess, keeping the Serpent Wig and the Illuminate, which is pretty good, especially because we have both Handmaidens in our hand. And a coin, so we actually can instantly trigger the Handmaiden if we really feel like it. Okay, Amalgam of the Depths. That doesn't really do much for us here. And it is Questline Warrior, which is a little bit annoying to deal with, but we should be fine. Okay, we're going to put Thrive of the Shadows on top of the deck. Might have actually wanted to go for the Queen's Guard, just because we do have ways to trigger it. There's Thrive in the Shadows, grabbing the Illuminate, because why not? And then the Serpent Wig. The next turn, we can actually use the Handmaiden instantly, if we coin out the anything, actually. I guess we don't even have to coin anything out. Okay, there's Bless. We can put Serpent Wig on our minion. It's a 4/4, make it a little bit harder to actually deal with. And we did get the Queen's Guard, which is actually a pretty good top deck. They should be able to actually kill our minion here, which is perfectly fine. Yeah, I would do that too if I was them. Okay, so that's alright of a top deck. Well, we could draw 3 cards. Point something out first. Okay, so there's Priestess. Radiant Elemental actually works really well too for next turn. Or we could actually do it here, gain 3 mana. That triggers the Serpent Wigs. I'm going to use 1 on the Priestess and then drop down a 6/7 on turn 4. Actually, we're in a really good position at this point. And it's unlikely for them to actually run Brawl or anything, because that's honestly probably the only thing they could do to clear out this board this quickly. Radiant Elemental might be the next turn play, though. Okay, there's Lyra. Don't think that matters too much in this case right now. We can put down the Radiant Elemental, which will discount all the Serpent Wigs in our hand to 0. Honestly, I could see this buff being reversed pretty easily. We're gonna see what we get here. Grabbing another Handmaiden, buffing this up even further. And we might as well actually just use them. It's going to be, what, a 24? And we should just be able to smack them in the face. And we're 2 off of lethal. But it is questline warrior, so they shouldn't really have that many answers for something like that. I guess Nelly, but they don't have enough mana for Nelly. Okay, they're going to dredge to see what they can get. Okay. Doesn't actually matter what they hit here, as long as the 24/24 actually survives and they give up. Okay, time to play a game against Druid. This opening hand, I do not want to see either of the Bless here. Actually, we could keep one of the Bless, it would be fine. We should have probably kept the Radiant Elemental, but we didn't have any cheap spells. This is actually not as bad as it was before. It is also Druid, so I guess I was assuming that they would have a way to easily deal with the Radiant Elementals. Thrive in the Shadows, turn 2 play, turn 3 play, we play the Crush Claw, and it's actually questline. That's kind of a shock. Oh, actually, that's a perfect top deck, too. Might have wanted to still play the Thrive in the Shadows. There's Jury Rig. Well, we can use Thrive in the Shadows if we really feel like it, or we could use the Bless. That would become a 5/6, which is not terrible. Oh, Serpent Wig's interesting. Grabbing the Illuminate. Devour actually is pretty good, though might be a little bit of a waste to actually use it on their minion right now, since they only have 1. But they shouldn't be spamming out too many minions, so you never know. Okay, so what can we generate here? Call of the Grave is fine. It isn't necessarily the best, but it's still fine. Okay, so what do we want to do here? Let's see what we can actually generate. Grabbing the Stubborn Suspect might be the better play. Actually, Popsy Cooler is actually not a bad card to generate there. We can use the Enforcer if we really feel like it. Back into their minion. Then we get Amalgam, and we do have the 2 Devours in our hand. Okay, Wicker Claw. I know that fell out of favor after like the initial week. It's a really cool card, but okay, there's a Lyra. We could buff up Lyra to absurd levels where we don't have to worry about them actually killing her. Let's actually do that. And then we can go face with 1 minion and then keep the other one around. I'd rather keep the Death Rattle just in case. They probably will attack into it, but we do have a 3/12 Lyra. And we generated 2 against the odds, which is a little bit frustrating. I don't assume they're going to play that many minions. Okay. Well, I guess actually against the odds is really good in this exact situation. Kind of shocked someone's actually running that, but oh well. Let's see what we generate before we use against the odds. Condemn doesn't do what we want. Whirlpool definitely doesn't do what we want. We can just go face. So we're looking for a Serpent Wig, I think. Then we can actually start popping off. Okay, they're going to use Feral Rage. Gain 5 attack, which I think completes the first part of the quest or the second part. They gain a little bit of armor by doing so. Really, we just need like 1 or 2 more buffs, and we should be fine. We're going to smack her face. Handmaiden would have been good if we had enough spells in our hand. We're just going to fish for some good spells here, using the cheapest ones in our hand to actually do so. And that doesn't actually help us at all. We can put down the Amalgam just to put down the Amalgam. Radiant Elemental is probably the best bet. Might have actually wanted to go with the Baron Geddon just for the extra damage. But I don't know what they can actually do from this position is the thing. Yeah, we should just win this turn. Alright, time for a game against Paladin. This opening hand isn't the best. If we actually had some type of minion, it would be a lot better. But at the same time, it isn't the worst thing to actually keep most of the things in our hand. We're trying to keep the Serpent Wig so we can actually use it on a cheap early game Naga. Might be a better solution. Really wish I kept the Illuminate right here because we did break a little bit with this hand. Since it is Paladin, as long as it isn't Mech Paladin, we should be fine. And even if it is, they don't have ways to actually swarm the field, and it looks like it is Mech Paladin, and we're going to continue to brick for the rest of the game, it seems. Okay, they're going to get another mech here into their hand. Okay, we do have Bless. We can't really do anything. I'm going to wait until next turn to put down the school teacher and see what we actually generate there. Okay, so this could get actually really bad really quickly depending on what we actually generate. Going to get the Devouring Plague just so we can actually heal ourselves up a little bit and hopefully get rid of some of their minions next turn, unless they actually attack into our minion and actually kill it. I'm perfectly fine with that, and that is the reason why I said this could get a little bit complicated. Okay, so we're going to get a second Devouring Plague Naga Lean, and then probably just pass the turn back. Should have probably used the Serpent Wig, but at the same time, we kind of want to keep it in our hand because it's already triggered. The Divine Shields are really annoying in this matchup, but we can deal with it. And it's honestly the main reason why I would want to run a Shard of the Naru in this deck over Brand's Brawn build. Okay, the second Serpent Wig. We can see what we actually kill here if we kill anything. And we do kill one minion. We're going to trigger the Serpent Wig, play the second Nagaline, and we do kill the Annoyatron. We can put down the Treasure Guard and then pass the turn back. Okay, the second Bubble Bot, and it was generated off of the Amalgam, so that means there's a third one in the deck. We're just going to steal 1 HP from everything here. That kills both of the taunts. We can use the Serpent Wig, then use Zola to generate another Devouring Plague if we really feel like it. See what we actually kill here. Hopefully we'll kill at least one. And we do, so that's good news. And then we can just tack into that and pass the turn back. Okay, so they generated an Explosive Sheep, which doesn't matter too much for us for right now. We do have a bunch of things actually online, so... Well, we could trigger the Explosive Sheep if we really feel like it here. Since they're going to trigger it anyways, we get a Amalgam. See what we can actually generate again. Probably should have used one of the Serpent Wigs. Getting a School Teacher, which is pretty decent. Buffing up the Zola. Okay, we're going to try to start buffing up one minion. Actually, we could split the buffs between a few minions just to play a little bit safer, but There's the Handmaiden. That's actually a really good top deck, especially because we can instantly get it online here. Though we won't be able to play it this turn, sadly. Now we'll buff that up a little bit. Just hoping they don't have Equalize. It doesn't actually really matter since we do have a endless chain of these, so... We just need to get one minion to stick on the board long enough so we can buff it up to do 22 damage. Actually not really that hard of a thing to do, and they do generate another Bubble Bot. That's going to be a little bit more frustrating. Depends on actually how they do this too. Okay, so they're actually going to try to kill some of our minions. We could try to draw into more cards here. See what we actually get. Lyra actually is a pretty good top deck. Oh, Devour is actually pretty good. That gets rid of the last Divine Shield, making that 416. We can use School Teacher, see what we can generate here. And nothing actually too important. We can grab the Thrive in the Shadows, because why not? We can attack into these. Hopefully it won't hit the Slither Sphere. We're going to buff it up a little bit. Then we can gain 3 mana here. Buff it up even more. And then we're just going to smack them for 24 damage. Or 25. Okay, time for a game against Warlock. Radiant Elemental is pretty nice to see in the opening hand. Gonna probably mulligan away Lyra and Priestess. Might keep the Bless, but it really just depends. Actually, I guess it makes sense to keep the Priestess too. Sometimes I forget my past self and what I actually did. Drawing into the second Radiant Elemental is not something I want to see here, but oh well. Okay, so we're just going to pass the turn back because we have no turn 1 play. We could have coined out the Radiant Elemental, but it is Warlock. There's a Queen's Guard. Do we want to coin out that just to coin that out? Vicious Slither Spear actually isn't terrible for a top deck, especially given what else we have in our hand. We're trying to fish out any early game removal they might have since they're not quest lines, so I'm assuming they're probably going to be cursed. They're not Murloc, or they would have put down some Murlocs. There's the second Queen's Guard. Just going to put down the Vicious and attack their face and pass the turn back probably. Okay, so they already got a null out this early. We do have ways to instantly deal with it if we really want to sacrifice the minion, which is probably the better thing to do. Okay, there's the Illuminate. We can actually put down the 2 Queen's Guard, which is actually pretty cool. Okay, so just going to heal a little bit. Okay, so they're going to heal a little bit. They're not going to actually get rid of our minion, which is actually pretty good news for us. We're probably going to want to put down the school teacher next. They are backed up to full. I'm going to grab the Shadow Word Death just in case, because it is a more hand lock, I would assume. Going to heal up our minion, just go for their face. They are actually Cursed Warlock. There are actually a lot of variants of Cursed Warlock right now. It's going to be interesting to find out which one comes out on top. Well, we can just use the Curse, heal up, why not, and then pass the turn back. It does actually help us with the Handmaiden in our hand, but we actually could have kept the Curse just so they couldn't put another Curse, so we would actually lose a card if they play anything else here. But we don't have any minions either, so they'd have to put down another Abyss Wave, and it does look like they have a Curse. We only get 1 Curse in our hand, which is fine. Zakul is going to instantly die. I'm trying to think of how I instantly killed him, but... Oh, right, the Shadow Word Death. And that's actually probably one of the better cards that we could have actually burnt there. We're going to use the Nagaling with the Shadow Word Death on it. Use the Abyss Curse, feed all the HP into the Radiant Elemental, then we can use the Handmaiden, see what we can actually generate here. Thrive in the Shadows and another Devour actually isn't terrible. Oh, Serpent Wig. Okay, so we can use Devour if we really feel like it. It depends on how much we want to push here. Because if we do this, we now have a 2/9. And it takes a Twisting Nether for them to be able to actually do anything. We can put down the Serpent Wig on that, get a 3/11, put down a Queen's Guard, that triggers that, buff that up a little bit, because why not? Put down the second Queen's Guard, use another Wig, and we are actually in a really good position because we have 3 really big minions that they can't deal with easily, unless they have Twisting Nether. Okay, they're going to put some curses back in our hand. Isn't enough damage to actually do anything for us, so we should actually just be able to win because they didn't have enough mana for Twisting Nether. I guess the other answer they would have had was Entitled Customer, but that doesn't kill all of our minions. We can put down the Treasure Guard if we really feel like. Put down Serpent Wig ×2. They're going to try to do some damage to one of our minions. They did that out of order. I don't know why, but I guess they just didn't realize, and they give up. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the deck. This deck felt really good to actually play. I had around a 50% win rate across the 30-ish games that I actually played with this deck. I actually played a little bit more with this deck just because it felt so nice to actually play. But overall, this deck is actually really good, especially with the buff to Serpent Wig. It made Blessed Naga Priest actually a really big sleeper hit. It's one of the decks that actually won a lot with the recent buffs that a lot of people weren't actually expecting to do much better. This is one of those decks that I can easily recommend just because of how consistent it feels. The only thing I would maybe change up is the Brand's Brawn build for a Shard of the Naru, just because Brand tended to be a win more card, and Shard would allow you to get through a bunch of taunts that your opponent might actually put up. And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye bye.